He built his life on control, precision, and solutions that came with a price tag. A billionaire in the world of private technology and global investment, he believed everything could be fixed if you had enough power, money, or knowledge. But when his twins were born unable to move their legs or arms, his influence meant nothing. Specialists from multiple countries were flown in. Diagnostics, machines, and medical reports filled his days. Each answer was the same. There was no promise of change. Then one nurse quietly stepped forward. She didn't have a title, a lab coat, or global recognition. She had a question, a method, and a decision that would challenge everything he believed about care, ability, and recovery. His name was Daniel Hartman. His companies managed satellite communications, artificial intelligence systems, and international logistics. He stayed out of the spotlight and focused on contracts, not cameras. When his wife, Evelyn, delivered twins, Liam and Leah, the labor was early but not alarming. For the first day, everything seemed typical. Within 48 hours, the medical staff noticed something unusual. Neither child responded with normal reflexes. Their hands didn't grip and their limbs stayed motionless. Doctors ordered magnetic resonance imaging, followed by electromyography to test muscle response. Both tests confirmed severe motor paralysis in the infants. The cause was unclear. Daniel immediately brought in pediatric neurologists from multiple hospitals. Terms like congenital neuropathy, spinal muscular atrophy, and oxygen deprivation were mentioned. No explanation was definitive. Surgery was not an option. Gene therapy was considered, but the diagnosis did not support it. Every expert had the same conclusion. There was no clear intervention. A team of neonatal nurses rotated care. Among them was Angela Moore, a registered nurse with 10 years of neonatal developmental experience. She was not part of the specialist group, but she remained attentive, observing small details others had stopped looking for. Unlike most of the staff, she continued speaking to the twins by name. She adjusted their blankets gently and moved their joints slowly, even when muscle response appeared absent. After days of silence around any improvement, she approached the lead physician with a question. Had anyone tried sustained tactile stimulation with sensory tracking? The focus so far had been on imaging and diagnostics, not environmental therapy. She proposed a routine used in some neurodevelopmental cases: consistent skin contact, low-frequency vocal interaction, and patterned joint movement. She made it clear this was not a cure. It was stimulus, contact, and repetition. The physician approved a limited trial. Angela began with warm cloth compresses to improve circulation before attempting movement exercises. She spoke calmly and rhythmically while moving each limb in slow patterns. She reduced the number of people interacting with the twins to limit sensory overload. There were no devices, no invasive procedures, just measured interaction. Daniel watched but kept his expectations low. In his world, solutions came from specialists with machines, not nurses with routines. On the 6th day, Angela noticed a slight curl in Liam's toes when she pressed the bottom of his foot. She repeated the motion 3 times before documenting it. The next morning, Leah flexed 2 fingers when her palm was stimulated. The lead physician reviewed the footage and confirmed voluntary movement. It was minimal. It was not mobility, but it was change. Angela requested that the routine continue without interruption. She explained that sudden imaging or new interventions could disrupt developing responses. The medical team agreed to extend the regimen. Daniel asked what made her pursue this. She explained that in certain cases, when structural nerve damage is not confirmed, sensory pathways can respond through repeated input. It is not guaranteed, and it is rarely immediate, but it can occur before visible recovery. Over the next 2 weeks, responses increased slowly. Grip strength tests revealed minimal voluntary effort. Joint reflexes reappeared in small ranges. The atmosphere in the unit shifted from observation to engagement. Angela trained 2 additional nurses to replicate the process. They followed the same steps: voice, touch, motion, pause. Daniel realized he had spent weeks asking what could be fixed, not what could still respond. His mindset had been grounded in outcome, not interaction. No one called the progress miraculous. No announcements were made. But the data was undeniable. The twins were no longer categorized as fully unresponsive. Notes in their files changed from static observations to tracked development. Angela's logs were added to the official charting system. The situation revealed a broader issue in advanced medical environments. When complex conditions arise, focus often shifts to machines, scans, and pharmacology. Hands-on sensory therapy is viewed as secondary, even when early neurological development relies on it. Angela's actions did not replace science. They complemented it by recognizing that diagnostics do not always measure potential responsiveness. Her approach was based on documented neonatal care models used in developmental delays. The difference was her decision to apply it, where the prognosis had already been assumed unfavorable. The physicians later admitted that the condition appeared irreversible, so they had not prioritized sensory stimulation. Daniel's response changed. Instead of demanding new specialists, he asked for the process to be documented and studied. He funded research into tactile stimulation for infants with undiagnosed paralysis. He shifted from control to curiosity. The story also raised a point about hierarchy in healthcare. Expertise is not limited to those with titles or advanced degrees. Nurses often spend the most time with patients, notice subtle changes, and make decisions based on lived observation rather than theoretical limits. Liam and Leah continued therapy under supervision. Their mobility remained limited but improved in measurable ways. Their future stayed uncertain but no longer static. Angela did not see herself as responsible for a breakthrough. She saw two infants who had not exhausted all methods of interaction. Daniel did not make a public statement. He made a decision. Angela was placed in charge of the developmental protocol for the twins. Funding was provided for training additional staff in sensory-based neonatal therapy. The outcome was not instant recovery. It was recorded evidence of change. It was progress rooted in consistency, not technology. It showed that care is not only about what medicine can diagnose, it is also about what engagement can reveal. In a place defined by expertise, the most significant shift came from someone who asked a different kind of question. Instead of "What is the cure?" she asked, "What response still exists?" Two children showed that the answer was not zero, and one man who believed only in solutions learned to recognize the value of attention, patience, and human contact as part of treatment, not as an afterthought to it.